Welcome to the Thyroid Fixer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Amy, and we're diving deep into the world of hormones, especially for all you fierce women in perimenopause and menopause, and anyone dealing with hypothyroidism. If you're struggling with weight gain, you feel like shedding those pounds is an impossible feat. If you're dealing with plummeting energy levels, gut-wrenching fatigue, or a libido that seems to have left town, then you're in the right place. And don't even get me started on the hair loss. If these symptoms are sounding all too familiar, you found your tribe. Welcome, because my goal is to educate, empower, and shake up your world. I want you to embrace every inch of that badass woman that you truly are. So if you're ready to dive in and fix things, let's get started. So this is going to be a game changer for you, and you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixer line is Metabolism Fixer. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixer. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract. We have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixer or Metabolism Fixer. But Metabolism Fixer, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got orange crush and refreshing citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixer today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. Okay, this week and next week is Cool Shit Week. So this is where I went out and found you some really cool stuff to learn about, to listen to add to your biohacking repertoire. And I know it gets confusing out there in the world of stuff. All the biohacking stuff. There's so much. What do you get? What's worth it? What actually does what it's supposed to do? So this week I wanted to feature and focus on some of that cool stuff that actually is, you know, worth a head tilt and worth a listen to. So enjoy this week of cool shit. This is going to be a super unique podcast because I'm actually coming into it wanting to learn. I didn't overdo research beforehand because I want to learn from you. You're going to teach me today and you're going to teach the listeners. And, you know, we're talking about air, but there's so much more. So if you reached for the off button, do not shut this off because the quality of your air can affect your health. And Mike and I were talking before we even started recording, and he made a point that is so right. You know, we know about food. We talk about food, your nutrition, don't eat processed, avoid sugar, blah, blah, blah. We know about the chemicals that we put on our bodies. At least we should, right? You should have some kind of, short of living in a box, some kind of indication that what you put on your body, if you're loading your body with fragrances and Bath and Body Works, probably not a great idea. We know all of that. We even know about cleaning products and what we're putting on our surfaces. But the air that we breathe, literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we just kind of forget about it. Like, well, there's not much we can do. It is what it is. I can't control it. But it has such a huge impact on our bodies. And for some reason, we're kind of setting it aside. So I want to today learn so much more about air quality, what it's doing to my health and everybody's health, and really kind of unpack this. So Mike, thanks for jumping on. And I am your student today. I'm kind of excited.
My pleasure. I just like to frame this as it's like an important conversation that we likely would have had offline anyway.
Yeah.
And I just like podcasts because we can have important conversations and we can share important conversations. So that's basically it. You set it up really well. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water. Try an air fast, see how long you last. I believe that's like the biggest thing. If there's like a takeaway that I really love to give people by increasing air awareness, it's not even air quality. It's just air, period. Nobody people talk about what to eat. We don't usually talk about food quality. Like we do, but we talk about sourcing and like what's in it. But we think of like, what do we eat? But nobody thinks about what do you breathe? And it feels like this helpless thing. And sometimes it is, but there are things that we can do to control it. I feel like there was this really cute comic book cartoon thing, and it was 3 fish in the ocean. Actually, they were in a goldfish bowl. It was 3 goldfish. And I think on YouTube, if you type in "what is water," it comes up. And it's like this one older goldfish with these 2 young goldfish, and then the old goldfish swims by, and they're like, hey, and he's like, "How's the water, boys?" And then the little goldfish says, "What's water?" And it's like, we know how polluted oceans are, but for whatever reason, the fish don't swim away to cleaner water because they're living in water. So there's no awareness of it. What water is to fish, air is to people. It's just like swimming. It's if you think about when you swim in the air, swimming is like dancing, but underwater, we're in it. It's the first thing we do when we're born. It's the last thing we do when we die. We're in it. And like life would be so annoying if we weren't so good at adapting to our environment and coping with stuff. So because of that, we just kind of forget about it. It doesn't mean it's not important just because you forgot about it. So I love that, you already have a really educated, health conscious, health aware audience who are thinking about you set it up great. The four big ways that things get in our body. The big 3 is eating it, drinking it, breathing it, and then absorption.
Yep.
But we breathe a lot more than we eat, drink, or absorb by far. So I'm excited to chat about this and also learn from you, because typically all the same stuff that we know about bad food, bad water, stressors is the same stuff about bad air. So it's not like this whole new rabbit hole you have to go down. You're able to kind of like take your existing knowledge and then just like apply it to a new input. So I'm excited to talk about it with you.
Okay, so that's my curiosity. And, it's one of those things that I guess when I hear you say it out loud, or when I say it out loud, I pause for a moment. I go, why didn't I think of that? Like, duh, of course, air and air quality is going to affect your health, but you don't think about it every day. You just don't. So can you go into why should we care about our air quality and how is it affecting our health? Like, where will we notice it first? Is it one of those silent things, kind of like, eating bad seed oils? All right, you don't like get sick from it. I'm not going to get nauseous if I eat canola oil. I don't know, maybe I will. But over time, my body's going to become inflamed. And over time, I'm going to have insulin resistance. And over time, I'm going to be like, why did those 5 pounds come on? So what is air doing to us?
So I feel like from my own personal experience, what I've seen firsthand a lot, it feels more like some of the success I've seen around like eliminating gluten from a diet for some people. It's like the person who's like discovers their celiac or whatever when they're 39 and then like stops eating bread and everything gets better. The sleep and the digestion is just this aha life-changing moment. The air thing's pretty similar. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be in this business. I wouldn't be so fascinated by it. It's actually not subtle. It can be very stark and almost always is. It's like growing up, we didn't eat, there was no water quality. It was just water. Tap water was the water you drank.
Yeah.
There wasn't this whole, but then along came, water's gotten marginally worse, but it was pretty horrible growing up. And then all of a sudden we drink filtered water. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a second. This water tastes like chemicals. I'm not so sure about this water anymore. So when somebody turns that corner on air, like I literally can't travel without sending an air purifier or buying an air purifier, or cracking the windows, or if I'm in a business or a restaurant or an office, like it's profound. Once you're just aware of it, same thing with food. You know, growing up, I thought those chicken nuggets and chicken fingers, I just thought that was chicken. I did not have such awareness. And then now we're like, oh, that doesn't even taste like food.
No.
I think it's more gluten than seed oils. It can be pretty profound. So before getting into Jaspr and creating air filtration products, I was in two very relevant occupations before this. One was wildfire restoration, floods, hurricanes. So California's on fire. Homes are incredibly damaged by toxic smoke. We would go there and get this house from you can't even breathe the air in it to safe for a family to live in. And then on the other side, between natural disasters, I was consulting on air quality. We were like the naturopath of the house. If somebody was, and we worked with a lot of functional medicine doctors. So if people were sick at home and they're just sick and they didn't know why, they tried every supplement, they dialed in the food, they dialed in the water, they were on all the supplements, exercising, circadian rhythm, sleep. And then they went on a trip and they felt perfect. And then they went back home and they felt sick again. And they had this little light bulb moment. Is my home making me sick? I was the guy that if they got referred, they would get connected to us and we would go into a deep dive on their home. So we would look at water and we would look for mold, and mold's a big part of the air stuff. We would look for air quality. We would test for indoor pollens and lead and bacteria, allergens, pet danders, bacteria on countertops. Like we would do a really deep dive of the home. And then we would give the homeowners, the sick person, a plan of action to improve, just like getting blood work for your body. We were doing the blood work MRI equivalent for the house. And then it was profound because sometimes it's pretty much air stuff. If you think about it like an allergen, when you find out you're allergic to something that you didn't know you were allergic to, and then you stop consuming that thing, it's not like that thing is bad for everybody, but it might be quite bad for you. So with air, you could have a family of 5 where one person is chronically ill and one person is fine, and 2 people are a little sluggish and chronically fatigued and have brain fog because the allergens or whatever particulate was in the air, just like a food sensitivity, people have different sensitivities to things that can be in the air. It's like, when you hear about celiac folk, like a gluten-free kitchen, it's even the air quality, breathing gluten can impact someone who's super celiac.
Yep.
So broadly, it's important to think of it not about like air has a thing, but air is a way that things get in your body through air. So whether it's the bacteria, the pollen, the mold, if you're allergic to cats and you go into someone's house and that cat or dog makes you really sick, well, you didn't eat the dog or cat, you didn't drink the dog or cat, but they're putting off stuff through their saliva, through their fur, through pet dander that you are now breathing and getting sick. So it's important to kind of think about it. Like if you're not allergic to cats, pet dander in the air, you're fine. So it's really just kind of like an understanding of what impacts you, what's in your air, and what can you do about it.
So, and the same thing, back to your point, you're not going to just by being exposed to bad quality air, it's not going to be that immediate, like, oh, I'm sneezing because I was exposed to pet dander and I'm allergic. It's not going to be that histamine response per se. I mean, it could be, but it's not always going to be. I like your connection to gluten where it's that internal damage, that inflammation that's occurring, that's chipping away at your health and creating symptoms that you totally attribute to something else.
Yes.
And that's what's interesting to me as I'm learning from you. I'm thinking about, and I always do this, anytime I learn something new that could be affecting someone's health, I think about those patients where we've done it all. We've done all the thyroid treatment, the hormone treatment. We have their nutrition optimized. They're eating clean. And we're like at that place. What is happening with this person that they're not responding? So now through our conversation, I keep thinking like, could it be their air quality? Could they be being exposed to something that is keeping their body almost in a lockdown state to where it can't progress? So that's going to be my next question for you is, have you seen that in all the people that you worked with? And even back in the day when you were doing the home restoration, did you see that once you cleared the air, no pun intended, that people actually started getting better going, oh my God, I didn't even know that that was connected to air. I thought it was because I was getting old or whatever.
So that spectrum that you kind of were touching on is important for some people. Like if you go to you could be in an Airbnb in Florida that could be very moldy and you could be sick immediately right away.
Yep.
So there are those chronically acute scenarios where you're like, I'm just sneezing like crazy. I feel sick. I woke up exhausted. Like, and then you're like, is it the carpets? Well, if it's the carpets, it's the air. You didn't eat or drink the carpet.
Right.
So whenever it's a thing in an environment, it's always an air thing. But yes, it can also just be that suboptimal, slow, chronic leak that you're unaware of, where when discovered, it can be profound. So I don't know how many times, myself included, like, I have a little bit of psoriasis here. It's almost completely gone now, actually. But like how many people have been dealing with something and then they move to Costa Rica, they find themselves moving to Nosara because they're like, I just feel better here. I'm like, how much time are you spending outside in Costa Rica? It's like, well, all of the time. And when you're not outside, how much fresh air are you exposed to? A ton. What, were you in a big city or like forest and ocean? It's like forest and ocean. And then it's like, okay, you go back home, you're living in Los Angeles. Where do you live? In a condo, with a small window. So it's like, you're trying all these things, but if you don't, it's like, I like this quote that says, if you don't detox, basically, if you can't detox your body, if you don't detox your environment. So if you're detoxing your body constantly, but you're living in the toxic airspace, it's just kind of coming in one side and going out the other. So like if anyone's ever had that transformational, goes on vacation, goes camping, goes hiking, and then they come home and they're sick again, it's a really great indicator that your environment is suboptimal right now. So
let me stay there.
Yeah, you look like you got something to say.
Yeah, because here's my beef with, I'm going to get hate mail for this, all these mold experts out there, right? I always say that you don't need to necessarily, I mean, short of living in a house where you're like, there's some black mold on the wall. Yeah, you might want to get that taken care of. But I think too many people rush into, I went on vacation, I felt better, therefore my house must contain mold. And then they go on this tirade. They're hiring mold experts to detox their body from the mold. They're hiring the mold eradicators to come in and test the house. And it sounds to me like, why don't you just clear your air, like clean your air properly, and your house probably won't. Yeah, and stay in your house. Don't move. Like you're good.
Like, well, I'm glad that you kept me on that topic because, wow, in the industry, not in the restoration industry, there's a little saying that says mold is gold.
Yeah.
And then they called it, starting 2011, it was the beginning of the mold rush. And the mold rush is getting bigger and bigger every day. And this is truly a road to hell being paved with good intentions, because there are some straight up bad actors, but mostly it's like, a functional medicine doctor, to do a great job, you're going to be spending a lot of time with patients and learning and stuff. So along comes this new thing, red light therapy or sauna or cold plunge or mold. And like, there's truth. And these are real serious things. But for one person to try to like get expert in all the things is so hard. You can't. And be dealing with patients. How could any one human do that? We don't have enough time in the day. So what happened is there's these mold tests. So there's these mycotoxin urine tests, for example.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone do one and not have pretty severely elevated levels of mold.
Yes.
Then I've also seen, so then you have tests like there's the aerosol Zfon test. And then there's ERMI. So you got these different mold tests. ERMI is beloved by the restoration industry because it almost always gives you a false positive. It's designed to be an alarmist test. And I can't say it's nefarious or whatever, but it's alarmist. So I've gone into homes that they're brand new homes that didn't have water damage, that were dealt with pretty fine. And we swab the dust and we test it, and it's red and it's scary. And then we test the blood, and oh my God, there's mold in me and my house. Therefore, I must be a chronic mold illness situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the aerosol tests, which like Ryan Blazer from Test My Home, he's really, really pragmatic, really thorough. I really like how he operates. He uses both tests. He's like, one's false positive, one's false negatives. So he's doing like 3 or 4 different tests. But honestly, like we joke, because when we go into a house, we know in the first 5 minutes what's going on. All the testing is just tools to show the homeowner and put data behind it. It's very obvious very quickly. So mold is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Mold is just like pollen. It's outside, it's inside. Mold is present. Mold is a part of life. It's, as far as I know, fungi and mold is the only thing that can survive in the vacuum of space. So, and humans are closer to mushrooms and fungi than fungi is to other plants. It's this thing that it was very easy to make it scary. The word's scary. It's black mold. It's smelly. So it's because of the odor and the visual. It's one of the things that we can like actually point a finger to and see it. But half the time, there's no visual mold in the house. So I was a certified home inspector, owned an air quality company for 8 years, tested the air in 5,000 homes. I've been in a lot of moldy environments. And then I've tested the air before, during, after. I have a lot of reps in the space and a lot of patients who are working with functional medicine doctors who are documenting systems before, during, and after. So I have a pretty deep dive into this situation and the mold thing. So yeah, you have now people who were contractors who got a whiff of the mold rush. You're like, wait, I can charge how much to do a bathroom demolition? And then a lot of kickbacks. It's just a kind of a dirty space. And then usually the health professionals really well intending, but it's easy. Like we weren't supposed to do mold tests within, I can't remember if it was 48 or 72 hours after it rained, because the rain dramatically changes the mold results. When I was monitoring air, we would test your air. We would set up our equipment for a full week because your air at 2:00 on a Tuesday is much different than 9:00 on a Wednesday. So if we come in and you think just like blood work or whatever, if you think it's static in this one picture, it's like, thank God for, I haven't done it myself, but like continuous glucose monitoring, it's really cool that people are able to like, see, oh, this thing changes. So it's like, don't have coffee before this test or drink water or don't eat. Well, with the mold test, the mold testing business would suck if you couldn't test after it rained or all the windows and doors were shut and what's up with their HVAC. Nobody follows these practices at all. So like you go in there, you grab a couple swabs and everyone's house has mold. So I agree because I used to do mold restoration. Mostly though, I was the guy getting the call when there was visible, real black mold. Yeah. Because I always joke with friends. I say, if you ever want to break your lease, give me a call. I'll come over and find the mold. And I've never found a house where I couldn't find the mold before, ever. There's no such thing. If I start looking behind drywalls, under sinks, in toilet seats, you can always find the mold. It's being like find the dust. It's in your house. So now it's like, I would like to see the conversation evolve to what is your mold load? So how much mold do you have? What species? And how much does that impact you? And then like, what are practical things to do about it? Like, okay, if you have a water filtration system, it's like really polluted water, then the city chlorinates it, then you dechlorinate it, then you remineralize it. Like, it's good, it's helpful, but your water is not perfect. If you want to get really perfect, it's like, you better start going to the spring. It's like, we have to sort of be practical and reasonable. Otherwise, just move to Costa Rica if you want to be perfect, or move to the rainforest. But for everybody else who's living in a city or even a rural environment, practical is important. So if you play whack-a-mole and you try to demo it everywhere, if we come back in 6 months, we'll find the mold again. There are things you can do, but like the amount of times I've seen people who have beautiful, perfect homes and they gut the house to the bone and they go into huge amounts of debt to remove the mold, that'd be like getting surgery that'd be like getting wrist surgery for like a sprained wrist. This is overkill, guys. do some PT, maybe lift a couple weights, maybe stretch a little. So after being on that air quality and restoration side, there's a much more practical, light touch way to deal with this. When I was renting a home in Canada in 2018, this is the same time I was developing air purifiers.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but we signed the lease very quickly. I didn't do a deep dive. We loved the house. We loved the forest. We signed the lease. And then when it was all their furniture that was there that day. But when we moved in, we realized there's a lot of mold here. I'm talking like mold growing on the windows kind of stuff, like mold growing on the walls, like black mold, real mold.
Yeah.
So I brought my air testing gadgets in. We tested a bunch of mold. I did a light surface clean, wiped up the mold, still decently present in the air. So I had like 5 or 6 air purifiers in the unfinished basement.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tested the air again. There was trace amounts, basically no mold left, because it's in the air. And then we filtered the air, and then it wasn't in the air anymore. So me and my wife both felt perfect. And then one day, there was a lot of mold in this house too. Minimalistic, reasonable amount of air filtration. We came home one day, and was within the hour, we both had like puffy faces, red eyes. And before I put the purifiers in, I was getting exercise-induced asthma. Like, we were sick.
Mm-hmm.
Air purifiers in, sickness gone. Tested the air was fine. We come home one day, got super sick. We realized there was a power outage earlier in the day, so the air purifiers were off downstairs. So we plugged them back in, and like 2 hours later, we were fine again. If there's a really important connection here that I've witnessed, is mold is kind of like pollen. Some people are allergic, some people are not. It is everywhere. So like, clean your house. And if your house has dust in it, if you have dust, that is there's no dust outside. We get dust inside only, because we basically live in a Tupperware box. We vapor bury our homes. We tighten them up. If you have bad air quality, you get dust. And then dust is a vessel. It's a vehicle for everything else to travel. It's this carrier. So if you're like having to dust frequently, you are in such luck, because if you just clean up your air filtration game, first of all, you can dramatically decrease your surface cleaning when you increase your air cleaning. Those two things have to kind of harmoniously work together. Yeah. But like, if you're having visible dust at home, that is a sign of significantly bad air. Dust is not normal. We've normalized it with modern construction. And I'll touch one more thing on allergens that I've seen firsthand that has made me very excited, because it's so nice. Like, when I got all my fancy blood work done, and Andrew Hare helped me with his blood test. And he's like, I know you're not going to listen to most of the stuff I say. So he's like, honestly, just take omega-3 as much as you can remember. Like, try to take 1 or 2 omega-3 pills a day. And I'm 80% confident it's going to be life-changing for you. And like, my energy was amazing.
Okay.
So like, it was nice that there was like, I don't know that we dealt with the whole thing, but there was like a simple, practical thing for me. And he's like, I love when there's one thing based on your blood work that can make a big difference. So when a lot of people, I live in Austin, Texas, theater fever, Austin allergies, big deal. And when the allergy season comes out, everyone's stuff gets triggered. All your underlying stuff bubbles up to the top. You would think what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So like, oh, let me just exist in the allergens and I'll just adapt in a few weeks. Turns out it gets worse and worse and worse. Like, people often have this big mold exposure event, and then they're like environmentally sensitive moving forward, and they go outside and they get destroyed.
Right.
The coolest thing ever is when those folks clean up the air in their bedroom, just their bedroom. What happens is your body at night is breathing all night long. The average bedroom has like 800,000 particles floating in it. Insect parts, dust, bacteria, mold, pollution, road dust, all of it. So it's like, how do we expect our body to enter this rest and recovery state, consolidate memories, repair muscles, heal, get parasympathetic when we're playing defense all night long? But when you can clean up the air in your bedroom, what ends up happening is now all of a sudden your body can actually rest and recover, because it's not breathing all those allergens all day. Honestly, like, almost every time, the person is no longer triggered by seasonal allergies during the day when they go out and about, because when it's 24-hour beatdown, you just don't have a time to get a break. When you can have clean air at home and in your bedroom, all of a sudden you're totally fine during the day, because you got to calm down, you got to take a break, and then you're just so much more resilient So that's been like most exciting discovery in the last like year and a half, is how much dialing in your sleep space can actually help you during the day and actually like make you more resilient.
Well, that makes sense. And it's going to help you sleep deeper at night too. Because even if you don't know it, you're most likely waking up from breathing in garbage, especially if you don't have your air on. Right now, we have the heat on. And like you said, blowing things through the vents, recirculating all kinds of garbage in the air. Okay, this is me literally just speaking to you from the heart. So many of you know I've been where you are with the struggle of weight gain, unexplained. Literally, you're doing everything you can and nothing is working. And I've been in the boat of crushing fatigue, like the type of fatigue you can't explain to anyone unless they've gone through it. The hair loss, legit, when you're counting the hairs that fall out of your head. I get that because I've been there. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. That's why it's my passion to help you specifically get to where you deserve to be, get to optimization land, which I always joke about being in. But it's not really a joke. It's a place. It's a place of existence in your life where you can enjoy life. You can go out with your friends. You can have a glass of wine. You're not gaining weight looking sideways at a brownie. You have energy to get through the day. You don't even think about being tired because you're not tired. You're just confident. You're confident in your own body. You're confident in your own skin. And beyond that, you're out of that frustrating cycle of doctor jumping, thinking that maybe this one will listen to me. Maybe this one will actually do what they're supposed to do. And then you're disappointed again and you're crying in your car like I was. So that is why it's literally been my mission. And I've been working on this for years and finally got here to help every single person in every single state and some of Canada. So we can now prescribe to all 50 states. And the reason why this is important is because if you have low thyroid function and you have low hormones, there is no supplement, there's no diet, there's no lifestyle change that you can do to build those hormones back up. And I flat out call BS on any program out there that promises you optimization without actually using bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, including thyroid hormone replacement. If you're not making hormones properly, you're not making hormones properly, and we have to replace that. Now, many of you are in the process of begging your doctor for bioidentical hormones that they're uneducated on. They tell you scary things that just, don't believe them. And many of you are trying to beg your doctor to give you the right thyroid medication. Well, you can stop that now too, because we can order all the labs, prescribe all the bioidentical hormones, all the thyroid medication, all the things. We can do that to all 50 states and most of Canada. Now, when you work with me, when you work with my team, you're getting personalized plans, personalized treatment plans, personalized nutrition, the whole deal, top to bottom. You get what you need to get to the finish line, to enjoy your life, to live with me in optimization land, which is where you deserve to be. You deserve that. So click the link in the show notes, book a free call. We're going to go over everything with you. You don't have to remember everything I just said. The one thing you have to remember is I've been there. I can help you. I promise you're not that tough of a case. And it doesn't matter where you live in the United States and parts of Canada, we can help you. So speaking of garbage in the air, besides the mold, what else is in the air? Like I know we talked a little bit off before we started. You're in an office building, no windows in there. My actually new office down here has beautiful windows that don't open. So I'm thinking I need an air purifier for in here too, because I'm in here 8 hours a day. What else is in our air that we should be concerned about? And how do you know?
So there's two parts of that. Let's just, your office in particular, air filtration cannot fix a CO2 problem. That is a gas that we exhale, breathe in oxygen, breathe out CO2. So yeah, like I could have 20 air purifiers in this room and it's not going to really help my CO2 level. That can only be achieved by ventilation and fresh air.
Okay.
Fresh air and sometimes dirty air. So
Okay.
there's two components of air. We need fresh air and we need to clean that air. We want clean, fresh air, two separate things.
Okay.
So when the CO2 is high, like I spent my entire day outside. I just came in here because road noise probably wouldn't have been very conducive to a high quality conversation, and neither would my toddlers at home.
Okay.
So I'm coming in here doing my thing and I'm getting out. Particulates are definitely still a problem. So having more clean air in your office would be a great thing. That would be very impactful, because like a lot of people, if you spend a third of your life in your bedroom and a third of your life wherever you work, pretty actually low cost solution to have clean air in 2/3 of your life at least.
Right.
And that's a huge win. The ventilation issue, if the CO2 is high, a window that cracks is great. There's ERVs and HRVs and fresh air intakes and fancy stuff, but honestly, a pretty effective solution is often just a bathroom fan.
Okay.
Just like a range hood. So like if we're hosting even like 10 people at our house, our CO2 will get from 700 or 800. Once you hit 1,000, you start having brain fog. It can get up to 3,000 with just 10 or 12 people at our house. And let's say I used to live in Canada. It was cold, opening windows, not great. If I would leave my range hood, which some range hoods, fan speed 1 is really loud.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a nice quiet fan. Just like leaving the range hood on fan speed 1 or a couple bathroom fans on fan speed 1 is really enough to make a huge difference with CO2. And like, it's about being practical. So like the best solution is like 15, 20 grand, tearing up your drywall. The most practical solution is like a high quality air purifier and a window that cracks or a bathroom fan. And I really like practical solutions. So now the what's in your air thing. So 2 big buckets to encompass all the things. We have outdoor pollution and we have indoor pollution. So outdoor pollution has mold, it has pollen, it has smoke, it has smog, it has all of the allergens like the cedar and the ragweed, all of the plants, the pollens, the allergens, all that stuff. Depending where you live, they could put salts and chemicals on the road. It can be the rubber. You know, when you drive your car and the rubber gets worn down over the years, where do you think the rubber goes? Well, it's because it's going in the air.
Right.
You have a Jaspr, so you've seen how it can trigger when you're cooking and cleaning and stuff.
Yeah.
You'll see crazy. More cool things as you have it for longer. So like if we open the door, if I'm barbecuing 50 feet from my back patio, just opening and closing the door to come in, it spikes. If the neighbor across the street was renovating a bathroom and their contractor's cutting 2x4s, even if I don't have any windows and doors open, it spikes because those little fine dust particles from that 2x4, which is processed wood made in a factory with all kinds of chemicals, MDF and stuff, that's all. Your home is not airtight or you couldn't breathe in it. So everything that's outside, the outdoor pollutants, come inside. You have exhaust from cars, fumes, factories, all the person down the street who's using chemicals in their dryer when they're washing their clothes. That dryer sheet exhausts outside. So a lot of it is getting absorbed it's coming in your house, but then your house has carpets, clothing, furniture. So you have outdoor pollution, which I will say outside, not that big of a problem. We got the sun and its UV light, which is the most amazing antibacterial thing of all time. We have wind, which creates naturally occurring hydroxyl radicals. So between sun and wind and trees, we have some pretty good air filtration outside. Inside, we left out the UV, we left out the wind, and we left out the trees. So we kind of left nature's air purifier outside. That's why you feel good if you open your windows. Even if that air is polluted, the fresh air feels pretty damn good because it's a lot better than what you got inside. So those are kind of outdoor air pollution. Indoor air pollution is now things that originate from inside. So the top of that list is going to be cooking by far, and not just bacon and not just barbecuing and not just smoky stuff, but we can have a cast iron pan, olive oil, and asparagus. Because when you have any kind of oil or any kind of fat or meat at high heat, that has a chemical reaction. It creates polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and other VOCs and nitric oxides. So when you have heat and proteins and fats, a lot of things are created in the air, new proteins and stuff that are fine to eat, but doesn't mean you want them embedded in your carpets and your furniture. So cooking is the number one indoor air polluter. Cleaning products. People are getting more aware. I'm assuming your audience is more aware than most about, what you're cleaning with, what you're putting on your clothes and fabric softeners and things like that. So there's cooking is number one, cleaning is number two. Then below that, we have mold, from leaks and things like that. Then we have VOCs, off-gassing from furnitures, from paints, anything that we buy. Kind of this marker, when I open it, it has an odor. So it's currently off-gassing into the air right now. It's got to go somewhere. And we don't really vent it out very much. So pretty much all the furniture, a lot of clothings and polyesters, things break down over time. Most things have adhesives in them. So it's like the 1,000 paper cut thing. It's like everything is off-gassing a little bit. Yeah. Anything in your house that has a scent. And then another way to think about it is anything that can get wet can absorb water. So if you have a quartz countertop and you put a water drop on it, it never really absorbs into the stone. You just wipe it off. Mm-hmm. So water doesn't permeate the stone. It's sealed. Mm-hmm. However, if you have a carpet or a sponge or a t-shirt, or often you have finished wood furniture, but the bottom of the furniture is, so when we would do wildfire restoration, if you had a sealed desk, but the bottom of the desk was MDF and it was unsealed, we would have to throw that away because the toxic smoke would be absorbed into the underside, or the trim of your door, that top part would also absorb stuff. So it's kind of like inside you got cooking, cleaning, chemicals, hairspray, so the big stuff, and then the off-gassing. Those are the big ones. So yeah, outdoor air pollution and indoor air pollution. When we're outside, not a huge problem. When we're indoors, kind of a big deal.
Well, I even think it's interesting that when there's a fire, there's such toxic chemicals that you have to throw away furniture. So I'm thinking of that extreme. And now I'm taking, I don't know what, 1/100th of that extreme. And that's what we're breathing in every day. And I also had the picture when you were talking about cooking meat and using olive oil. When you think about what your hood looks like the grates in the hood, and you're like, ew, this is all sticky. And you can see the oil caked on. That's literally what's in our lung, because that's what we're breathing in, because that's what the hood is sucking up.
Yeah, luckily we have this great filtration system built in, but this whole indoor environment thing is pretty new to us. And energy efficiency got really popularized in the 70s. And energy efficiency is directly at odds with environmental health. There are ways to find harmony and balance in both. Mm-hmm. I'd say the bathroom fan would be kind of an example of that. But broadly, energy efficiency wants you to make a home as tight as possible.
Yeah.
Tight as possible. Keep the heat in the winter, keep the cool in the summer.
Right.
But it's also now trapping you in this little tiny box. There's a reason why fresh air feels so good. Why do we even want to go for a walk? A lot of the stuff that we associate with outside, it's just getting outside of these little boxes. And this big push towards energy efficiency at all costs is coming at a large cost of environmental health. And buildings typically have windows that don't open because they want to keep the HVAC costs reasonable. The cost of that is really, really sick people who are just kind of trapped inside all day. So the wildfire smoke example, not only did we have to throw out furniture, when we would get clothing dry cleaned multiple times, it would still test positive. We would actually have to remove and replace all of the insulation in one's attic.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was toxic smoke. The good thing is most people, and when you see the smoke after a wildfire, you think of it just as the smoke you see and smell, but most of the stuff you can't see and you can't smell. So when New York or Toronto or Montreal or Chicago or whatever had air quality issues last year, people just figured, it was smoky for 2 days and then it was gone. If we test anyone's carpet, even now, 9 months later, if we didn't detox that home is still sitting in all of the chemicals that came into their house. And often it's not just campfire smoke. It's not just s'mores. When homes and cars and factories are burnt in these wildfires, all those chemicals and toxins are mixed into that smoke. And then we trap them in our house and just add it in there. But the good news is filtering air is relatively cheap. It's expensive if we think about it as a product that we're buying. People don't even bat an eye to pay $7,000 or $10,000 on a whole home water filtration system. When you think about air, not as a space heater, it's how much would you pay for a furnace or an air conditioner? Because being freezing cold or boiling hot is not an option. once you're kind of water aware, and people don't realize there's the average health conscious family of 4 who goes out for dinner like twice a week and orders delivery once a week spends about 36 grand a year on food.
Mm-hmm.
You spend about $3,000 a year on water, by the bottled water you get, or the Perrier and this and that, plus your water bill you get from the city. And the average person spends about $30 a year on their air by changing their little rinky dinky furnace filter. So like a whole home air filtration system is $3,000, to have like 3 or 4 heavy duty air purifiers, $3,000, $500 to $1,000 a year. It's far less than we spend on food and water, and it's profound. So yeah, I really think when people just sort of understand it and then start getting wins, and like when people come over to my house, the most common example is just like, even like when contractors come over, it's like, whoa, people are like, I want to go outside for a breath of fresh air. I think what's even cooler is it's like, I want to go inside for a breath of clean air.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I want my inside environment to be like my biohacked clean air sanctuary where I have clean water, clean food, clean air. Like my home, instead of viewing it as like a curse that we spend 90% of our time indoors, like that can be a blessing because you can optimize your environment dramatically for like not a ton of money.
Yeah. And when you break it down like that, again, just you're really opening my eyes today on this being such a missing piece. And you're so right. And I was going to say that too. Like we spend thousands of dollars on a sauna and a cold plunge and exercise equipment, all these biohacking things, that
breath work.
Why are we skipping over air? It makes no sense. It's air. We're breathing it.
It's hiding in plain sight. Sorry, it's not hiding in plain sight. You can't see it.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy.
It's like, we never talk about eating. We talk about food. We don't talk about drinking. We talk about the water. For whatever reason, breath work literally is getting more attention than the air that we're breathing. When we do, they talk about breathing and breath work and this and that, but we're not even talking about the fuel that we're putting in our bodies. That's why I'm kind of here shouting from the rooftops. Anyone who's already made the link to breath work, it's like, try doing breath work with super clean air. You will be shocked.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, we just assume that the regular air is okay. I love having like my little gadgets and taking samples for people. Like, it's really fun when you just grab a little air sample from a room and you put it under a microscope. So there's a company called Sporecyte, Sporecyte. And they're using AI, like an AI powered lab right now. So this is the first lab I've ever seen that actually shows you the microscopic images of the air samples.
Okay.
So instead of just like seeing like a lab, like a table, like when we get blood work, we just see like a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But like, we don't get like a visual idea of that. Sporecyte is this lab that actually shows you this like electron microscope version of what's in your air. And when you see the fly wing and the mosquito wing and the dog particles and you see the pollutants, you're like, oh, it really, yeah. And then you clean that air and then you're like, whoa, it's really amazing. Like more of those whoa moments it should be a feeling, but once you kind of, it becomes a new thing that like you go into a restaurant and you're like, the CO2 is high and the cooking odors and the particulate. Like I never eat inside anymore at restaurants. I'd rather bring a blanket and a sweater than sit inside because the restaurants have the worst air.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I'm moving on to my experience with Jaspr. So I get my Jaspr, sure. I set it up. So I set it up in my kitchen that opens into the living room. So I set it up, I plug it in, and I'm pretty sure I had just gotten done cooking with my timing of my setup of my Jaspr. It kicks on, it's red. Like, I'm like, oh,
that's God. Why it was on crazy right away. That makes more sense.
Yeah. I mean, it is absolute red. And that was so interesting watching that. Now it took, because this was the first time that I had used it, it took a good 5 to 6 hours to get back down to green. Now when I cook, it'll kick up, I'll hear it kick on, it's firing on. I'll look over, it'll be red, it'll be orange, but it quickly cleans the air because now my air is clean. It's just picking up the particles of the cooking and it gets to green pretty quickly. But the first time that I turned it on, my gosh, that was eye-opening. I had no idea.
So yeah, the coolest thing about that, and that's why we try to make the product as educational as possible. 50% of the benefit is having clean air worry-free. But the other half is the realization of the, oh shit, like when that wildfire smoke comes in or it's a smoggy, polluted day, you start being able to calibrate your own ability to detect particulates because subconsciously you see the data, you feel the thing, you see it working. And now the fun part is it's not just that your air is getting to clean really quickly, and it wouldn't be green unless the air in your whole home was clean because air is like water, it's like currents.
Yeah.
So if there was bad air, it would get picked up in there anyway. So it took several hours for the whole volume of the house to get cleaned. But the interesting thing is, if you weren't taking that out of the air after cooking, I think honestly, when we start shipping Jaspers, we should probably start giving people like a checklist. Like now's a good time to clean your ducts and do like a deep clean of your home, because it's like, hey, we're going to now proactively stop all these cooking particles and molds and everything from getting in your furniture and your clothes and your carpets. But you have all this residual stuff from all the meals you cooked previously. So doing it's a really great time to do like a detox. And I think that's actually a good point that we should probably speak to more. It's a really good time to do all that other stuff. And now moving forward, when you cook some stuff, you're dealing with it before it gets embedded in your house and you're not allowing that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's super cool. Yeah. That was super cool to see. So then my story moves on to my hair. And you're like, how are you connecting hair to air?
I've never heard this one before. This was novel.
There's connection. So I move into this new home and I'm blonde for those of you who can't actually see me if you're listening to the podcast. And blonde hair can turn colors if it's not done right. And if there's stuff in your water, right? So my hair starts turning orange. So I'm naturally thinking, well, we moved, it's a new house or something in the water. Now, this house has a water filtration system. The guys that came actually installed it. And they're like, yeah, this is like the best of the best. And they tested my water and they're like, it's not your water. It's your air. They said, you have this airborne bacteria. And he said, most homes have it, but it just, in higher concentrations, it's attracted to fat, like i.e. soap, shampoo, and water. What's going on in my hair? Water and shampoo. So I decided to move my Jasper. I move it into the bedroom that's connected to the master bedroom, of course, with a shower. And now my hair is not turning orange anymore. It's nice and blonde. So I'm filtering out this pink, fat-loving, airborne bacteria that apparently likes to turn blonde hair orange. And now my hair is normal. So it's kind of crazy.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
I like
you can write that down in the book. It's a brand new one for you.
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's been people who have been in their bedrooms and the Jasper went red and they actually had left the stove on and a protein fire was about to kick up and they detected the fire. I've heard also lying in bed goes red. Check it out. The dryer was starting to smolder, but not enough to smell yet. Dogs, especially during allergy season, when someone's dog comes in from a walk, often it kicks it up. If anybody uses any like vapes, handles, humidifiers, diffusers, those are huge. Humidifiers and diffusers are also really big indoor pollutants.
Okay.
So yeah, the hair thing though was a new one. So I'm gonna actually like Google hair turning orange because I wonder how many people are dealing with this that can address that problem. This is cool.
Well, there was actually a lady at the salon, same time as me, at the salon. She had just gotten back from the Dominican Republic. And her hair was flat out pinkish orange. I mean, it was way worse than mine 10 times. And they were trying to figure it out. They're like, what the heck happened? And, they're going through like, maybe it was the water in the Dominican. It's like, it's ocean. I don't know. What are you going to do? So now I'm thinking like it was probably the air quality in their rooms in the Dominican. I mean, who knows how much, again, you go to a
lot of chemicals,
chemicals, humidity, God knows what, right? So yeah, probably the air. Now I know. So, okay. I have my Jasper upstairs, which is the kitchen, living room, bedroom. Now I'm downstairs in my office, second level down here. You said that one Jasper will be cleaning the whole house, but I'm thinking I should get one for my office too, right? Or do you like putting
the Jasper would be cleaning?
Floor?
It's a good, better, best situation. And like, if you look at the spectrum, basically good is one. It helps. People try to simplify air purification down to a square footage metric. You can't do that because first of all, Are we talking 7-foot ceilings or 14-foot vaulted ceilings? It's all about cubic volume. And then is this one room? Or is there multiple rooms? Is there a centralized HVAC system mixing the air or not? So it's very difficult to speak in terms of square footage, even though one would like to. And usually when you see square footage claims, that's implying that the air purifier is running at the full speed setting. Whereas usually 99% of the time it's running on fan speed 1. So as a general rule, let's say if you have a Jaspr in your master bedroom, that's probably keeping the air in your master bedroom 95% clean, and it's keeping the whole home like 30% clean. So now let's say you had a Jaspr in your master bedroom and one in your living room, kitchen room area. They're both keeping their immediate rooms over 90% clean, but now maybe we have like 50% because the air in your home is mixing. So anytime you put one anywhere, it's contributing to the whole house. It's like if you put a space heater in your bedroom, it's going to make your bedroom warm and toasty. It's going to warm up the house just a little bit. This is more prevalent than a space heater. So best is a reason we actually redid our pricing recently to view it more as like a system. So if people buy more, they get much cheaper, because it's really a decentralized whole home system. So before we created Jaspr, we spent 4 years working on a whole home HVAC style unit, and we tried them all. It just wasn't effective because your furnace kicks on and off. So when your furnace is not running, it's not doing anything. And your furnace was designed to do one thing good: heat and cool the air. When you try to jam another layer of filtration in there, it makes the heating and cooling feature a lot less good. It often voids your warranty. It creates a pressure drop because you added this chunk of resistance. So you want to kind of separate the thing that cleans your air and the thing that heats and cools your air. It's nice to have this all in one, out of sight, out of mind solution. Unfortunately, it wasn't that effective. So best is one per room, that you're like a bedroom, an office, and then like just one in the living room area to handle the cooking, and the like one in the living room and then one per bedroom. That's best. Good. If someone's just going to get one, I would always suggest putting it in the bedroom. If somebody works from home, maybe one in the office. If money is no issue, you have one in your bedroom, you have one in your office, and you have one in the kitchen living room. That would be like the gold standard. One is better than zero, but I would really be dialing in my sleep before anything else.
Yeah.
And then I would be either office or cooking would be a really close second. It would be hard to say what's the better use.
Okay. I'm good with that.
But like, if you think about it, like water filtration, you buy this like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 thing. It's convenient that water comes through a single pipe. So we're able to put one filter at one point and intercept all the pollutants and filter them all. Your air is coming in through every door, every crack, every crevice, every window. So there's not a single point of entry for all the air in your home. Unless you're building a $3 or $4 million custom biohacked air filtered home with fresh air intakes, with filtration, which you can. And if somebody is, feel free to email me. I'm happy to give you all the tips. I've been down that road and helped a lot of people with that.
Yeah.
For everybody else, a more practical solution. And if somebody doesn't think about it as the air purifier, it's about $2,500 for like 4 really high quality air filters. And now your whole home has clean filtered air, because if you're only filtering partial amounts out, you're going to still have dust, and you're still going to have cooking, and you're still going to have particulates and things like that. The human in me, for the longest time ever, I was like, just get one. It's good enough. I'm like, honestly, like I have 5 in my house.
Yeah.
It's because like, that's how many you need. For the person who wants super clean air, that's what it takes. And I'm just going to be honest about it.
Well, I was going to ask you how many you had in your house. So now I know.
I have one in my bedroom. I have one in each of my daughter's bedrooms. We have one in the living room. I have one in the office room. So a baby, if the average adult breathes debatably 11 to 15,000 times per day, an infant breathes 60,000 times a day. And a young child breathes closer to 60 than 10, because a little baby has these little tiny lungs that don't have great filtration, and their respiratory rate is so much higher, especially as newborns. So my ultimate, I don't know the age of your audience, but I'm sure people have kids and grandkids, right? And nieces, nephews. There's this Diaper Genie product where people literally take out the pooey diaper, they put it in this box. And whenever you go into a baby's nursery, it still stinks like poo.
Right.
It only stinks like poo because you're breathing poo. And I remember I told my wife, I'm like, can we please stop putting, like, I'm the air filtration guy and our daughter was in this like bacteria box.
We're
I'm like,
breathing poop.
can we take the diapers and put them directly outside? And she was like, no, that'll be super annoying and inconvenient, whatever. I was like, fine. Then tonight I propose that we put the diaper genie in our bedroom. And she's like, no, that thing stinks. I'm not sleeping in there. And as soon as she realized that she wouldn't sleep in there, that was the end. But when you test the air, you know, people are worried about baby proofing their house and child proofing their house and putting things on plugs and covering corners. Meanwhile, their baby is breathing mold and VOCs and bacteria like crazy in their formative little year. They're starting to get more research even about like, you know, SIDS and air quality, because it's like, wait, what's my kid breathing all night long? So yeah, I think it's just a huge opportunity for improving health. If you're conscious about what you're eating, you're conscious about what you're drinking, wait till you see what's going to happen if you get your air dialed in. And that's why we created something called the life-changing guarantee. So it's like the number one feedback that we get that I love is like, I've had like 6 air purifiers before and I think they're good, but I'm not really sure if they were doing anything. My favorite thing someone could say is this is the first time it wasn't, as you've experienced, it's not even a question if it's doing something. Right. You don't need a lab data between feeling and seeing. You don't need a third party test. You should feel the difference. You should taste filtered water. You should feel better if you eat a cleaner diet. So the life-changing guarantee means people have 60 days where if they're not feeling like, whoa, this is game-changing, then what we do is we ship them a prepaid shipping label. We take the thing back. We cover the shipping both ways. We give them 100% of their money back because we're here to help people forever, for life. We're not helping anybody if someone feels like they paid money and they didn't get a good solution. And like, we've only had 6 returns ever. And 4 of those didn't even come out of the box. I'm just like, I bought this. I can't afford it. I shouldn't have. Right. Can I please send it back?
Yeah.
Because like, I just really like to put our money where our mouth is and open people's eyes up to what it can be like to live in a clean air environment. And like my background being in wildfire and flood and mold restoration, I wasn't trying to create the cutest, smartest, prettiest air purifier. I was trying to create the most effective one that was inspired by the air scrubbers we were using for floods, fires, and mold, but make it pretty and make it quiet and make it smart. Because if it's loud and if it's ugly, you're going to unplug that thing.
You're going to unplug it. You're not going to use it. I don't even notice. It's just on all the time, running in the background. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love finding these products that are tied to owners, founders that actually care. So I love that you have that guarantee because it lets people try something out that maybe they haven't had experience with, like I didn't. And it lets them, like you said, you can just see it. You can see it. You can.
In Austin, we do local. In Austin and Toronto, we actually do local deliveries and demos. So if someone's unsure, we go to their house, we test their air for free, we set it up, and then we let them just sleep with it for a week before they even pay us $1. Unfortunately, I haven't yet cracked the code to do that across the country. Right. But for Austin and Toronto, where we have boots on the ground, it's really fun. Honestly, if I could do deliveries all day long, it's like my happy place.
And set up and see people all wow. Well, you're also giving, now we're only doing this for a short amount. You're only doing this for a short amount of time. You're giving my very loyal audience, the ones that listen to things as soon as they drop. Thank you for doing that. You're giving them extra special discounts. So tell me what you're doing with them.
So yeah, if someone looks on our website, we don't really do discounts. It's not like in our core thing. However, we also don't spend a lot of money on Google ads and Facebook ads and marketing. So what we do is when we are going on podcasts and speaking to a health conscious audience, we try to make that product as affordable as possible for people to test. So the podcast, it's Tuesday, March 26th right now. The podcast is dropping this Friday, which I love. I hate when podcasts are like, you record them months in advance.
I know.
I really love the closeness. So it's
especially
dropping
when it's a good conversation. I want to get the information out there. So yeah.
So it's dropping March 29th.
Yep.
So we're going to keep your code will always be live, Dr. Amy, and it will always be $100 off. But for the first week, it'll be $200 off. So between March 29th to what is the next Friday? So March 29th to April 5th.
Yep.
So for that first week, it'll be $200 off. So instead of $9.99, it'll be $7.99. And this is just designed for those who were already realizing, you know what, like air filtration is something that I want to dial in, but I just don't know what the right product is, or I just don't know what the right time is. This is your opportunity. But if not, the offer will always be $100 off. The code won't go anywhere. But for anybody who wants our best offer for your most loyal audience, Dr. Amy, between March 29th, the day this drops, until April 5th, will be a $200 discount. And if people add more to their cart, the discounts just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So feel free to play with that. And we stand by our guarantee, which is why people can Google as hard as they want. This is something I'm very proud of. There's not one bad review of us anywhere on the internet.
Oh,
there's none.
Yeah, nice.
Because if anybody was ever anything short of blown away, we would give everybody all their money back. If the unit ever, one more thing I want to tell you about that's very exciting for us is the way our warranty works. So our warranty is a lifetime warranty. So the way it works is if someone's Jaspr has an issue, it's an electronic, although it has no EMF, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. It is an electronic. It can break. It can have issues. It can make a funny sound. Mm-hmm. What we do is we actually ship you a replacement unit the next day. You take the new unit out of the box. You put the old unit back in the box. We give you a prepaid shipping label, and we schedule UPS to come pick it up off your front porch. So I just created the company I wish existed. I hate when I have a product and I go to do a warranty and they make me send them photos and send them videos. Do I have the original packaging? No, I did not keep your box in my house. And then they make me feel like a liar and jump through hoops. It's like, I bought your product. So our policy is we just completely trust our customers. So if they ever say is wrong, we ship a new unit, you take the new one out, you put the old one in, we pay for shipping. Because if it broke, that's our problem and our fault. And we should be the ones who have to make a product that works forever. So our it's the last air purifier somebody should ever need to buy. Because if it ever has any issue ever, we will replace it. We pay shipping both ways. Like, this is a Jaspr problem, not a you problem. So it's very fun for me to be in business, to be able to do the things I wish other companies would do for me as a consumer. So I just wanted to throw it out there. So to summarize, code is Dr. Amy between March 29 and April 5th. It's 20% off, which is 200 on one, a lot more on more. And yeah, we stand by our shit. So if anyone's not happy, they'll tell you about it, but search far and wide. You will not find one bad word about us anywhere, because we're honest folks and we care about what we do.
That is crazy. And you're slightly batshit crazy for offering that, but you go. Like, you're right though. I mean, to create a company that it's doing all the things that you wish every company would do. I freaking love that. So if there's any reason to just buy from Jaspr, it's because of that alone, and those morals and values and the mission, and oh my God. But just to mention to everybody, Jaspr is the Mac daddy of air purifiers. So I learned about it from my other biohacking friends in this space, in this functional medicine space. And they're all talking about it. So that's why I was like, all right, what is with this air purification thing? Is this a thing that I'm missing out on? So really, I mean, you guys have just built a tremendous product. You have a tremendous company. I love the fact that I'm always encouraging people to buy from companies that care, from individually owned companies, not from these big corporate conglomerates. So I love that we're
investors,
supporting you.
We're just, we're going to keep it that way. We're working hard to start making the product here in Texas, keep everything local. Like, I got very frustrated being annoyed as the consumer, but feeling unempowered to change stuff. And I tried all the air purifiers. I'm like, this is annoying. Let's just start this company and give the next 20 years of my life to this thing. We're on year 6, but I think it's going to go a lot longer than 20 years.
I love it. So we'll put all the links in the show notes. We'll put the discount code in the show notes. Everybody will be able to get their Jaspr. But until April 5th, you get $200 off. Mike, thank you for schooling me today and for coming on. I love it. I love what I learned today. So I appreciate it tremendously.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Important conversations are important.
Important conversations are important. That is so true. Bam, mic drop.